Welcome to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, coming to you from the Baptist Health South Florida studios. With social media filling our heads with unrealistic expectations of what it means to be a mom, it can feel like you're failing. And battling constant comparisons, you feel isolation and feelings of guilt. Today's guest removes the pressure to feel perfect and helps us see who we really are and who we already are. And joining us to talk about this is Jasmin Terrany, a life therapist at Jasmin Balance. Welcome to the show, Jasmin. It's great to have you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, you have taken this topic that I think it's not just moms, it's everyone, with the obsession with social media and comparisons, and we're gonna dive into it. But first, what's a life therapist? What's your background and what made you do this kind of work?
Okay, so I invented the modality called life therapy. So what life therapy is essentially the combination of traditional psychotherapy and life coaching with more Eastern spiritual practices like mindfulness and meditation.
Okay.
So my training is that I'm a traditionally trained psychotherapist. I have 2 master's degrees from Columbia University, but I also have certifications in coaching, like neuro-linguistic programming, like Tony Robbins coaching, but also have a history and background in spiritual practices. I grew up meditating. My mom was a meditator. It was part of our home life, which we'll get into.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, so I've meditated 10 days in silence, and I have a whole, my own spiritual exploration, my own history, but so I integrate mindfulness, meditation, spirituality with the more psychological components.
So then when someone comes to you for guidance, what are they looking for? What does that look like?
So I traditionally work with super high achievers, people who have been very successful in their professional lives. So they tend to be very type A, overachievers, doer, go, 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 more focused, and often have been very successful.
Right.
But oftentimes the skill set that they require to be successful in their professional life isn't the same skill set they require to be successful
It's a very difficult application,
in their personal life. And it's very different. And I think that, so I work with your personal life. So it's your relationships, your parenting, your inner experience, your stress, your anxiety, body image, and what really goes on behind closed doors for people who are used to being successful and they're struggling in their personal world.
This is such an interesting topic. And as we get into our discussion, I want to take a moment to let our viewers know you can give us a call and join the conversation or ask a question. The toll-free number is 855-796-4475. We are standing by and love to hear from you. Now, today we're going to focus on some helpful tips for moms. Oh, I'm so happy right now. And we actually have some precious pictures of your family that I want to share. And you have to tell us about your family. This is so cute. Okay. Introduce us.
Okay. Well, that's my husband, Mateen. And then these are our children, Zen and Liv, and #LiveZen.
I love that. Okay, and now I know you said you grew up with meditating and a lot of mindfulness because of your mom, and you did it as well. Are you incorporating that in your life with your kids as well?
I am. They're still a little young, so it's hard for them to fully grasp it. But essentially, it is the foundation of the way that I live and the way that I show up for them, and so it really comes into everything that we do.
And you practice what you preach, because I know that your family really inspires the work you do. You wrote some books as well to reflect that. So how much is your family life seen in your publications?
Well, so mostly in my Extraordinary Mommy book. Essentially, the Extraordinary You book is the foundations of the work that I do. So this one came first. Extraordinary You came first, and this is my most recent one. So,
which is kind of how life should be, right? Us first.
Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about. So essentially, the Extraordinary You book is the foundation of what I do in my practice. So it's quite expensive to meet me individually, so if instead of breaking the bank, you can get the book, and it actually takes what I do, my entire process, and puts it into nugget form so that you can do it for yourself. It's like a be your own therapist kind of book.
I like that.
And then this one, I don't know if we're ready for the full story, but I can get into it as to where this came from.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so I grew up in a home that was far from ordinary. My friends lovingly referred to it as Willy Wonka's factory.
Kindly, right?
So the mailbox was shaped like a big pink heart. Every post on the walkway was a different pastel color. Every cabinet in the kitchen was a different color. There were wall hangings of ice cream, sundaes, and hearts.
That sounds like paradise for a kid, though.
It really was. It was a really warm, loving, and it wasn't just bubblegum like ushy-gushy happiness, but it was also very deep and real and connected and emotionally open. And so I grew up in this place because my mom was so committed to living from love. She was love incarnated. And her ability to be this way was because of her own spiritual practice, her own meditation practice, her own commitment to her own self-care. And so because she was so dedicated to herself and her own well-being, she was able to show up for all of us in these really powerful, clear, intentional ways. And so on some level, I always felt unworthy, that I think that I knew that it was rare, that this wasn't the common upbringing, that everyone would always, oh my God, your mom is so amazing, you're so lucky. And I think that I felt a little guilty, like I just got lucky, you know, I didn't deserve it, I didn't do anything.
Right.
And then about 4 years ago, my love bubble burst. And my mom was coming to meet me for lunch. She lived across the state in Sarasota and was driving to Miami. And she was coming for the weekend, and she never showed up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So, she got in a car accident. And mile marker 64, age 64, the week before her 65th birthday.
Wow.
I had a surprise birthday party planned. 50 people were going to come on a cruise, and her birthday became her funeral, and everyone was already booked to be there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll fast forward a little bit. Essentially, this was the most tragic experience of my entire life, and the rest of the following year was the most challenging year, dealing with my dad, and I had a baby, a house renovation, my practice, my life, and this was my world, my mom. And then on the anniversary of her death, 1 year later, to the day, the actual day, January 22nd, my daughter was born.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
what a gift.
Yeah, it really was.
It gives me chills because in some ways they work, it's a cliche, they work in mysterious ways, but it is true.
Yeah, well, I know that if anybody was going to be letting us know, she was all, like I said, very spiritual. If somebody was going to be giving us the signs, it would have been her. So after my daughter was born, a newfound peace came over me, and this book just kind of poured through me, and it was really intended for me to kind of get all these nuggets of, I want to be an extraordinary mother like my mother was to my kids. I want to show up for my kids. Yes. What were the things she did? What are the nuggets? What do I need to come back to? Because parenting is so hard.
It's so hard.
It is so hard, and it's so challenging, and I don't know how she did it with so much grace and ease, and what was it? Like, how do I hold on to that? So I really created these kind of 10 nuggets.
Right.
And it was for me. And then what I realized was that unworthiness that I had felt, that I was so lucky and I didn't deserve to be loved and to grow up in this home, it wasn't accurate, and that I was worthy, and that all children
And you were blessed.
I was blessed, but I also was worthy, and all children are.
Right.
And so that I'm trusting that she's gone so that I would have the courage to share and to help other children receive the love that we all deserve.
Oh my gosh, and that is absolutely the only reason to, I mean, not the only, one of the main reasons to pick up this book. I myself, I hope that you're going to leave that copy for me, because, I mean, that sounds so special. And it's hard. And I think you said it. Parenting is so hard, and being a busy parent is hard. You're pulled in so many directions. And what do you think are some examples that she taught you that you're teaching your own children? Not only that you are taking as yourself as a mother, and like those little nuggets that you talk about.
Well, we'll get to them in the book, but I think the biggest thing is how to love better. I think that as a society, there's a big focus on like, go, 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 do, 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 like.
And we're all guilty of it.
And we're so guilty of it, and we think that if we're present, then that's sufficient, and like how to see. I had this feeling the other day of just that this soul, this child chose you to be their mother, and it's your job to love them in the way that they need to be loved.
Right.
And how do we do that better, and how do we really realize what it is that they need and not get distracted by all the things that aren't really as important?
And I love that you do have some tips on how to find that focus and how to find that direction, because as you said, it's sometimes hard. You want to be present, but you're really not.
No,
and we don't know how to. So I want to share these. So it's an emotional, spiritual, cognitive, and self-care, correct?
So these practices are from my original book. Okay, so essentially they kind of go hand in hand, right? Is that the Extraordinary Mommy book is very mom-focused. It's on a lot of different skills to use when you're in your family. But then if you want to take a really deep dive into yourself as to how you can show up better, then that's going to be that book. So, you know, you can do both. But essentially, I think of you want to put those back up, it was the emotional practice, the cognitive practice.
We can bring that graphic back up really quick. Yeah, self-love.
So essentially, I like to think of it as there's these different parts within yourself, right? You've got your mind, you've got your heart, you've got your body, you've got your soul. There's these 4 different elements, and that we are often focused, many of us achieving types are really mind-focused. We're always thinking, and how do we figure it out? And so it's really a matter of figuring out how to connect emotionally and with our feelings, and learning how to do that is kind of like if your inner space is like a dirty room. Okay? So taking a deep dive into your inner space is like cleaning out your room. An emotional self-care practice is cleaning it out, taking the time to figure out where everything goes, what's there, putting it all away. A mindfulness practice is more about the maintenance of it, kind of the day-to-day.
I love the analogies for it, yes.
Right, of like just keeping it clean. A cognitive practice is understanding, right, is the psychological practice of how did it get there to begin with? Why do I have all of this inner stuff built up inside of me? And then it's a matter of an inner workout, right, is maintenance, of keeping it going.
And we're going to get more into that in the next segment. So when we come back, we're going to focus more on the self-love and the mindfulness. You're watching the Health Channel, All Health, all the time on South Florida PBS. If you have a question for Jasmin, call in. That number is 855-796-4475. We'll be right back.
Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the nearly 4,100 dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge, and your help, we can save them all.
Hey, have you been watching the Health Channel?
Eat the rainbow, baby.
Every color. Your neighbors have. Here's what they're saying.
Amazing information, smart content.
We love all the tips you give to parents.
Highly recommended.
We're answering your health questions 24/7, 365 days a year.
Hi, May. Do you have a question for Amy and Shannon?
Find us on Comcast and Hotwire Cable, download us on your phone or tablet, and visit us at allhealthtv.com. The Health Channel. All health, all the time. We're here for you.
My journey started with one step. I was diagnosed with diabetes and I was on a downward spiral. I use running to find myself, but I also incorporate some of the eating habits that I learned as part of the Florida Blue pre-diabetes program. It just ignited a fire in me. Before I knew it, I was up to 40, 50 miles a week, and I've done 15 5Ks in the last 12 months. I'm not fastest, I'm never firstest, but I finish shedding all the weight, all the bad habits. It's just been amazing. I love being the healthiest version of myself that I can be. The one step became 10,000 steps. Then the one choice became a lifestyle. I'm Rita, and this is my kind of blue.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, and joining us today is Jasmin Terrany, a life therapist at Jasmin Balance. Now, don't forget, if you have a question, call in. That number is 855-796-4475. Now, today we're talking about important tips for busy moms, and we're always referring to mindfulness as an important tool for our health. But how can it help busy moms specifically?
Okay, so we started talking a little bit about this kind of your inner space and your feelings being like the mess in your room,
Yes.
right?
You gotta pick up that room.
Gotta pick up the room. So I do think that it's very important. You know, I think that there is a big push for coaching these days. That's the new thing, that we're all into instant gratification, coaching. You gotta get your results, And obviously, I integrate coaching in what I do, so I'm not opposed to it, but I do think that there is a large portion of our deep inner work that requires time and patience and attention. And we have all of these feelings. We are humans, we have feelings, and we aren't taught how to deal with them. Unless you grew up in a highly conscious home, which most people were not, no one's teaching you how to deal with your feelings. And we all have such dysfunctional ways of dealing with feelings. We're eating, we're drinking, we're staring at screens, we're doing all these unhealthy behaviors.
We're keeping it inside.
Yeah, and, you know, everyone's anxious. So we have all these unhealthy ways that we deal with our feelings. So mindfulness is a maintenance. Once you've done some deeper inner work, you can do mindfulness, yes, but once you've done some deeper inner work to really get to know your feelings, know what's going on, have some healthy approaches for how to deal with them and how to release them, then that's like cleaning out your inner room, right? It's like that deeper inner work, go to therapy, get my book, that kind of thing, and clear out your inner space. And then the mindfulness is like, oh, there's a little something. Let me put that away or deal with it, and have a practice to address each feeling and inner experience as it arises.
But what I like is that you actually set up some questions to ask yourself to reach that point of mindfulness, that you can see these benefits, and I want you to break it down. So, and I love this. I was reading the script. I'm like, this is great. I should really ask myself this every single day. And the first one is, what am I feeling? Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. I think that we do a lot of focusing outwards, and we try to control all of our external circumstances. Why is my kid doing this and this, and I need to go there, and there's all this like outside of me. And so it's really important to focus on what's going on inside of me. So you're just taking a pause and looking within. And you're just taking inventory, right? What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay. And then you also want to, and these, you can take a variation of this. You don't have to do all of them, but kind of just a check-in of a look within, right? Because you're screaming at your kid and you're making it about them, but really, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling really overwhelmed.
Right, which is kind of what happened to me this morning when my son didn't want to get ready for school, and I'm yelling at everyone because it's really frustrating, and really it's because I'm just frustrated and overwhelmed.
You got it. And so learning how to take that pause and to deal with the overwhelm, because our pain is our responsibility, and the problem is that we take it out on everyone around us. And so if we don't have the tools to actually deal with it, then it gets, our kids become the
punching bags, unfortunately,
So, okay, coming back, you're looking at your heart, your body, your breath, right? So what am I feeling? Then it's like, what are the physical sensations in my body? Sometimes we don't know what we're feeling. I don't know, like you can't put a name on it. My heart's beating fast, my breath is short, I feel tense, I want to hit somebody, like, you know? And I always tell my clients that the most important thing that they ever learn from me, if they only learn one thing from me, is where is my breath right now, right? So even I'm talking to you, my breath is getting faster, I'm getting excited, I'm showing. So the idea is
to slow it down and breathe.
Because what happens is when we get anxious, when we get stressed, the breath gets short and shallow, and our breath is the best drug there is. Taking a deep belly breath, bringing it all the way down and fully experiencing yourself in this moment.
And bringing it back to neutral.
And just notice how peaceful it is, right? It was all heightened, and then it just became peaceful, because unless there's a bomb dropping on your head, this present moment is peaceful, if you can bring yourself into it.
And that's a good comparison, which once you have your breath, as you said, now it's acceptance. How can I honor my experience?
Yes.
How can you, when you're in the midst of, let's try being frustrated and overwhelmed as I was this morning, how do I honor this experience? What does that mean?
So what it really comes down to is love. And I preach self-love, that's my thing, right? Love for yourself, love for others, how do we love better? But what is love? And I think that we have a misnomer as to what love is that we think it's an extreme form of like, oh, I love it, so it must be
right.
wonderful.
Oh, I love you so much.
No,
right.
Love is unconditional acceptance. It's an open hand. It's saying, I accept you for everything that you are and everything that you're not. Right? And so when I say open hand, it's like I'm not holding on to you. I'm not trying to control you. I'm not trying to make you something else and make you worthy of my love. I simply love you for exactly who you are. And the challenge that we have, particularly as humans, as mothers, as people, is that we don't love our pain. We don't love our darkness.
Right. We only want to love the stuff that is good. Right.
The good stuff. So we're going to get into that later, but I think that the most important thing is this unconditional acceptance. Is like, it's okay that I'm feeling anxious right now. It's okay that I'm overwhelmed. It's okay. And my act of becoming a loving mother to my pain, becoming a loving mother to my discomfort, is soothing in itself.
Right.
It's like giving a crying child a hug. It's like if they're having a tantrum and they're upset and you start yelling at them, does that add fuel to the fire or does that help it? That's fuel.
Right.
Right? So how do you become the space that allows whatever it is that you're experiencing to be okay, and realizing that giving that hug and giving that love is the solution and the soothing that you require.
My kids are getting so many extra hugs today. So how does that tie into something in your book that I do want to bring up, because I think it's such a great analogy. It's human doing versus human being. I never thought of it that way, and that puts so much in perspective, and I would love for you to share that with our viewers.
Yeah, of course. So we're called human beings, but I think in American society in particular, we are much more human doings. And so like I mentioned, I work primarily with super high achievers, doers, right? And to be a doer, it's all leading with the head, right? You have a goal, you have an achievement, you're trying to get somewhere, and it doesn't matter how you feel about it, you just gotta do it, and you gotta push through it, and team no sleep, and you know, right? And so the idea is, yes, doing is important.
But being is even more.
Being is the heart of it. Being is living, right? And so what happens is we do, but then we lack the fulfillment, we lack the love and the acceptance of and the enjoyment of our life. So the question is, how do we be? And I think that as women in particular, now that we're becoming so much more achievement oriented, we have so many more opportunities and we're becoming such more professionals, we live in this masculine world where we think that we need to do it too, and we need to go and do, and we're missing out on our own superpower,
right?
Which is our being, which is the heart, which is love, which is empathy, which is feelings, which is
because we're so focused on just doing
and being successful, and we're missing out. Our superpower is our ability to be able to hug, to be able to understand, to be able to connect, and that's a much deeper.
What makes us superwomen?
That's what makes us superwomen, and we can't lose focus of that.
I 100% agree. And you brought a number of inner tips that we can do, almost like inner workouts for our souls. So I want to start with those and take a look at those. So meditating. You know, so, I mean, I will be honest. One of the first things I said, I can't meditate. I can't sit there and focus. I have been doing a little better with a great app that I downloaded called 10% Happy, but meditating can be hard.
Well, I think that's the problem, is that you're approaching meditation with your achievement
with my
hat.
team no sleep hat,
right? Your achievement hat. Meditation, there's no goal and there's no outcomes. So the only bad meditation is no meditation.
Right.
Got it?
Okay.
Only bad meditation is no meditation. So what meditation really is a pause from your life, a looking within, and a becoming a loving observer, and giving yourself that hug that let me just be present to whatever it is that's going on inside of me, and just be a loving mother to whatever it is that I'm experiencing.
And I love the journal, because I feel that definitely I love writing. So for me, when I go through my periods of anxiety, I always journal or I write.
Me too.
Whatever it is that comes to my head. And I feel that instant relief of being able to put something, breathe something on paper. So is that what journaling is about?
Yeah, I think that, there's these different, like I said, there's different components, right? So we've got our mind, we've got our heart, we've got our soul, right? And so for me, the journaling is getting your mind wants to understand why you're meditating, right? If you give your mind a solution or an answer, it's going to get on board more easily and not be as annoying.
When your mind is just there, it's like, what are you doing?
Right? Why am I doing
going
this?
on?
This makes no sense. I don't want to do this. So, but if your mind has the understanding, that's what's helpful. So I think journaling is helpful in getting your mind clear as to what it is that's just going on inside of you. You're putting words to it. You're making your inner experience more tangible, but it also helps you kind of differentiate between the different parts of yourself, right? So we have these kind of inner dialogues, right? There's one part that says, yes, this, but no, this, but you shouldn't feel that way, and yes, I do. And when you can start putting it on paper, you can start getting clear of which voice is my truest voice and which voice should I actually be listening to. And the more you understand yourself, like this book we're talking about is how to differentiate between all these things going on inside of you and figure out what's supposed to lead and who's in charge in there.
Absolutely, and we're in charge. Now coming up, we're going to talk about Jasmin's 10 parenting tips that matter the most. So take out that pen and paper. Stay with us. You're watching the Health Channel, All Health, all the time on South Florida PBS. If you have a question, call in. That number is 855-796-4475. And remember, you can take the Health Channel wherever you go by visiting our website, allhealthtv.com. You can also download the Health Channel app for your mobile device or smartphone. We'll be right back.
It's been said that knowledge is power. So learn the warning signs of uterine cancer, like bleeding that's not normal for you, or unusual pelvic pain or pressure. Knowing is powerful, maybe even life-saving.
No one is more important to South Florida PBS than you, and nothing is more important to you than your health. Enter the Health Channel. Got questions? We've got you covered. Live with local doctors.
Great news, we have a caller.
And with our online video library from A to Zika. We've got you covered 24/7. Find us on Comcast and Hotwire Cable, download us on your phone or tablet, and visit us at allhealthtv.com. The Health Channel. All health, all the time. We've got you covered.
A smile. It can show how we feel. It can change the course of our lives. But what would life be like if you weren't able to smile? It doesn't have to be this way. Since 1999, Smile Train has been helping children experience the simple joy of a smile. To learn more, call or go online now.
Some lifestyle changes, you can help prevent or delay prediabetes from turning into type 2 diabetes.
9 times out of 10, people are just not eating enough vegetables. Fiber is one of those things that we don't talk often enough about, those green leafies, whole grains and fruits. It actually helps to make you feel fuller, and it also helps control blood sugars.
Hi, May. Do you have a question for Amy and Shannon?
Hi. What foods do you recommend for diabetics?
In general, with diabetes, what we look at are the carbohydrates and balancing it then with the proteins and those non-starchy vegetables.
Hey, Luke, come check this out.
Come on, buddy. Hurry up.
Come on, kiddo. Do your homework, okay?
Oh, no. What are you wearing? Can you just go in the other room and watch your show?
It would be a shame for you to get sick at this time of year.
Is he okay? He's perfectly healthy, except I still need to write him a prescription.
play isn't just fun and games. It's also critical to raising healthy and happy children. Through play, kids learn how to solve problems, manage their emotions, relieve stress, and more. The American Academy of Pediatrics now encourages doctors to write kids prescriptions for play.
Hey, super dude, 5 minutes till homework time, okay?
Bet you can't catch me.
To learn about the benefits of play, go to thegeniusofplay.org.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, and joining me is Jasmin Terrany, a life therapist at Jasmin Balance. If you have a question, please call in. That number is 855-796-4475. We'd love to hear from you. Now, I wanted to bring over from our last segment 2 other workout tips for your soul. One of them is to read, and the other, connect to your soul. So what does that mean, Jasmin?
So I think that a lot of the inner work has to do with the looking within and the learning how to navigate your inner space. But the reading is trying to find books that help facilitate that process, right? So obviously my book is a good one.
Obviously your book, yes.
Right? But finding other books that resonate with you, that help you navigate your inner experience. Again, we do a lot of trying to learn about all this other information, and we think that everybody else has our answers, but the answers that we require are within us. And so finding books that help us find our own solutions versus finding other people's answers is really important. And then the last one
was connecting to your soul.
Yeah, so this was really interesting. When I was in graduate school at Columbia, I took a course on spirituality in psychotherapy, and one of our assignments was that every day we had to do a small experience to connect to our soul every week, like a medium experience every month, a bigger experience, and every year kind of a biggest experience.
Wow.
And so that you really have set the intention for yourself to connect more deeply to your soul. So for some people it was, I thought it was really interesting. Everyone had a different experience of what that was.
Right.
Some people were painting, some people were journaling, some people were meditating, some people were singing. You know, that we all had these different expressions of how to connect to our soul. And for me, at the time I lived in New York, and it was being in the sun. So I made every month a trip to the sunshine.
Yes, you got to go to the Central Park and get on that lawn and get some sun.
Right, so figuring out what that means for you and having little moments in your days, weeks, months, year to actually connect more deeply.
Absolutely. And now you offer a blueprint for parenting books as well. And we talked about this in the last segment. It had so much to do with your mom, and you and I share. Unfortunately, our moms both passed away tragically in a car accident. And we were talking about how much that has influenced not just your parenting, but the way you approach life in general. So I want to look at some of those tips, because you give 10 tips.
Yeah.
These are parenting tips for any busy mom. And I know moms out there, you're making us so happy right now. So please, let's start with embracing change, which can be so difficult.
Well, before we jump into it, just the idea of mortality, I think is really important. We, like you said, we both got a really huge, life-shattering experience, right? And I think that what we're talking about in between is this idea of mortality, and it is the only part of life that is inevitable. We're all going to die, and that's the only thing that's for sure, but we are so ill-equipped for it, and we don't know how to deal with it. And I think the more that we bring our awareness of mortality into the forefront of our lives, not as a fearful, oh my God, you're going to die, we're going to die.
Because that's what happens. You don't want to talk about it. You see it as something fearful, something that's definite, something that's end.
But the idea is how to bring it into your awareness, not in a fearful way, but in a, this could happen at any moment. So let me be aware that this could be my last hug. Like literally today I was rushing to get here, and I thought, I don't want this to be my last hug with my kid. And he was like going into school, and I said, wait, hold on. And I ran after him, and I gave him a real hug, looked him in the eyes, told him I loved him. When you have that awareness of mortality, that any moment can be your last moment, it really can help you make your actual moments in your life more worth living.
And speaking on that, I mean, I think that still ties into everything that we're going to talk about in these parenting tips, and with that change, embracing that change, because as you said, we're also role models for our children. And you were so fortunate and blessed to have such a vibrant upbringing and learning about this love that you're able to pass on. So if you can share some of these parenting tips and what they mean.
Sure. So you know, obviously in the book, I go into much more detail and I take a deeper dive into what it really is. So we're gonna just get a little taste of it so you get a sense. But when you're transitioning into parenthood or anything, the idea is to embrace the change. I think that we are such creatures of habit. We had our life the way that it once was, we become parents and everything changes.
Right.
And so how do we really embrace that process and understand how to enjoy it? I like to see change as like traveling. I'm a big traveler. I've been to over 65 countries, traveled around the world, Papua New Guinea, Bhutan, you know, and my favorite part about traveling is not knowing what's going to happen, right? And actually enjoying the adventure of the unknown and going to a new place.
You like the spontaneity.
I enjoy that. And so it's very hard when you're in your reality to want that because you have no control. And so the idea is when you show up in a new place, you're not supposed to know your way around. And you don't know how to get to the grocery store, you don't know where you're gonna eat, you don't know any of those things, and that's part of the fun of it when you're traveling.
Right.
But in your life, when you're in a new phase, it can feel really overwhelming, like why don't I know my way around? And then you hate yourself, and why I should know this, and I shouldn't.
Yes.
But you're not supposed to know your way around.
Especially first-time parents.
Of course, you're lost all the time.
Before.
You're not supposed to know your way around, and how do we embrace the fact that we don't know our way around yet, and let that be okay, and perhaps even enjoyable.
Absolutely, when you put it that way, okay, think for yourself, and then there's listen. There has to be some correlation between these two.
I'm sure they're all correlated.
Yes.
So think for yourself. The idea is this: we are bombarded, it's an information age, we have so much information, so many people are telling you contradictory things, and this comes back to listening from within and understanding what works for some doesn't work for all, what works for your family is different than what works for other families, and you need to come up with what works for you. I birthed both of my babies in my bathtub at home, and I have a lot of friends who are doctors, and it was really hard. I got a lot of slack. People were really concerned, and like, you know, I got a lot of challenging perspectives.
Right.
And you know what? I had to decide what was important to me, and for me, it was to trust in my body, to trust in the experience, to know that my body could do it, and to want to be fully present to the experience of bringing life into the world. And it was magical with both of my children. So it's a matter of, but you know, whether you co-sleep, whether you breastfeed, whether you go to 900 after-school activities, whatever it is, that you need to decide what works for you and what works for your family, and it's different.
And that's really hard when you bring up the think for yourself. As we mentioned early on the show, you are constantly bombarded in social media with, look what this mom is doing, or look what this family looks like. Why doesn't my family look that way? Oh, that baby's doing this already. Why is my baby not doing that?
Right, right. And then that comes back all to the self-doubt and the questioning yourself and the self-criticism and comparing our insides to other people's outsides, right? We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I have an Instagram page. I assure you, that picture is not what's going on when I'm crying at night thinking about whatever that I'm overwhelmed with, you know?
Instagram versus reality, folks.
Come on, it's not the same thing. And so we need to understand that.
Right, absolutely. Listen, decrease drama, and this one, I have to say, we're going to elaborate a little bit on all three, but put down your phone. I cannot tell you how many times, sometimes, and sadly, my 7-year-old will say, Mom, put your phone down.
I know, mine too.
And I have to say, you're right.
Yeah, always, I know.
A 7-year-old has put me in my place.
Oh,
and she's right.
I start my Extraordinary You book, I literally start with that moment where my 4-year-old son tells me, Mom, he's like, badgering me. I'm like, and I stop, I look at him, I'm like, what do you need to what do you need right now? And he's like, I need your attention. My 4-year-old, that's what a therapist's kid says.
Yes, guys, therapists have the same issues, you know?
No, but he's like so aware.
Yes.
But I need your attention. You're always on your phone. And this is me, who's super present, who's super intentional.
Right.
I don't have social media on my phone. I have filters. I have all these things. And my kid is still telling me, I'm on my phone too much, and I'm just thinking, wow, if he isn't getting the attention that he requires, I can't imagine what kids are experiencing these days, because they really need not just our physical bodies, but our actual attention.
So when you say decrease the drama, what does that mean?
Decrease drama. I think that we live in a really drama-addicted society. You look at every show, there's going to be
He's talking about those Real Housewives.
Yes. The Real Housewives, the vampires, the murder, everything is about giving you some sort of intensity and some sort of drama, and we're all wanting it because we're trying to get some high, right? And so the idea is, how do you create a home that isn't drama-filled, that there's a value placed on having peace and healthy interactions and no yelling and no screaming and real communication and understanding of what the other person is experiencing and a desire to be on the same team and to really work through things together, not at each other, but with each other.
That definitely creates more drama. Now, we've only covered the surface of Jasmin's work. We still have some of those parenting tips when we come back, and as well as other important topics and where you can find more information. So stay tuned. You're watching the Health Channel, All Health, all the time on South Florida PBS. If you have a question, call in. You have time, 855-796-4475. And remember, you can take the Health Channel wherever you go by visiting our website, allhealthtv.com, where you can watch the Health Channel 24/7, and also download the Health Channel app for your mobile device or smartphone. It's free, available at the App Store or Google Play. We'll be right back.
A double lung transplant is probably the most difficult surgery you can get. Being able to breathe, it is a feeling that you want to rejoice. I always thank the donor. I thank Florida Blue because my case manager was responsible for getting liquid oxygen that I needed when no one else could. It's what kept me alive. I'm Ed Henry, and this is my kind of blue.
The Health Channel, a service of South Florida PBS, was created for you to provide the highest quality health and wellness for our community. Everywhere you go, we're here 24/7. Watch us live and get your health questions answered.
Thank you for calling into the Health Channel.
Or find topics that interest you from our comprehensive online video library. Find us on Comcast and Hotwire cable, download our mobile app, or visit us at allhealthtv.com. The Health Channel. All health, all the time, everywhere you go.
In the past 50 years, we've made a lot of progress in smoking prevention. But if we don't do more, 1 out of every 13 children alive today will die early from smoking. That's 5.6 million precious lives we can save. Together, we can make the next generation tobacco-free.
Emily is thinking about taking a dietary supplement. She knows she should try to get her vitamins and minerals from the food she eats, but she doesn't always have the chance to eat right. And with more than 50,000 dietary supplements on the market, like a lot of other people, Emily has questions, like how much vitamin A is good for you and how much is too much. If something's natural, doesn't it mean it's safe? Can folic acid prevent birth defects? Should we be taking calcium and vitamin D supplements? Luckily, there's a place everyone can go for answers. It's the website of the Office of Dietary Supplements. We're part of the National Institutes of Health, and since 1995, we've been conducting, funding, and evaluating research that we use to educate the public, giving Emily plenty of information she can share and discuss with her healthcare providers. We're ODS, for what you need to know about dietary supplements.
Ovarian cancer is devastating and difficult to diagnose. It's often only caught in advanced stages, and 4 out of 5 women will see the deadly disease return.
I knew when ovarian cancer recurs,
it's often incurable.
It was terrifying, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Until recently, following chemotherapy, women with recurrent ovarian cancer had to simply watch and wait for their disease to come back.
Well, we say,
not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch. Now, with maintenance therapies, women can extend their time in response and delay recurrence.
Knowledge and awareness of your choices empowers you
and gives you a greater sense of control.
Let's call for a change in ovarian cancer care.
The Not On My Watch movement empowers women facing recurrent ovarian cancer to take an informed and active role in managing their disease. Visit notonmywatch.com to learn more.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Kathy Buccio, and joining us is Jasmin Terrany, a life therapist at Jasmin Balance. If you have a question, please call in. That number is 855-796-4475. And with us, we have Douglas from Maryland on the line. Hello, Douglas. Are you with us?
Hello.
Yes, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. You have a question about meditation?
Yes, I do, actually.
Yes, go ahead.
I've been trying to figure out how to meditate properly, and the best way to do it. I always find myself falling asleep and also getting my mind racing, going over, into different places. So I'm still trying to figure out the best way and what should I do.
Ooh, that's a good question. All right, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So first of all, awesome that you are meditating and that you are trying to do it. If you're falling asleep, that is okay. I would recommend trying to find a time where you're not as tired and actually being a little bit more intentional. So some people like to do it in the morning or at night, which can be kind of sleepy times. So the idea is, if you're gonna do it in the morning, to actually don't just do it in bed like when you wake up and meditate, but actually get up, brush your teeth, wash your face, choose another space that's not your bed to meditate, because if you meditate in your bed, that's where your body's programmed to sleep. Secondly, the idea of your mind wandering and going crazy. That's what minds do. So that's exactly what's supposed to happen, right? The practice of meditation isn't having a still mind. It's observing your mind. Your thoughts are going like this. You notice, oh, I just went on this complete tangent. Let me come back and recenter. So some people have a mantra that they repeat over and over. Some people have a visualization. Some people have a guided meditation. There's something that you're giving your mind to focus on. But essentially, the practice of meditation is that you have something that you're it's like building a muscle. You're coming back to this. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. Your mind wanders, you bring it back. And the goal, and you get the pat on the back whenever you notice it. When you notice that your mind wandered and you bring it back, that's the success. It's not having a mind that doesn't wander, it's catching it sooner and sooner every single time. And the more you do it, the stronger that muscle is to be able to catch it and bring it back. And then you can handle your life better, because you're not having these crazy reactions in your life, because you've been building that muscle to not get caught off in wherever your thoughts or your feelings take you.
That's a great tip.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah? Does that help you?
Yes, it does. Is there like a time frame to sit and meditate, like 30 minutes, 20, an hour?
Anything is better than nothing. So I have meditations on the different apps for 1 minute, for 5 minutes. It's better than nothing. The longer you do it, the deeper you can go, and the more likely it is to get a better experience. Not better because, again, not right or wrong, but a deeper experience, because then your mind kind of has time to settle. Once I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat for 10 straight days, couldn't talk to another person, like 12-hour days of meditate for an hour, stop, meditate for an hour every day. And the depth that you get to go to, the more that you just are keeping yourself away from all the distractions, is incredible. So more time is obviously better, but something is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Happy meditating, Douglas. That was very helpful, actually. I'm going to take some of those tips myself. Now, we're going to wrap up this hour on tips for busy moms. And we talked about self-love and parenting tips, but I'm also interested in how you partner plays in. But before we talk about that, I want to finish the last parenting tips, because there's 5 more. And we need to do that before we bring in our partner in.
I have a whole book on this. So
yes, you do.
This is the quick.
This is the Clip Note version. Okay, so make memories. Oh, I love that.
You know, I think that it's really important, you know, I'm sure you've experienced this too, but when I look back at my life with my mom, she was really good at making simple moments special. Yeah. So not just, we have these day-to-day experiences, and it's all kind of this mundane life, right? And the things that stand out are kind of these out of the ordinary days. Right. And so the idea is, yes, maybe you're not going to wherever on some fabulous travel experience all the time, but The idea is how to make simple moments special. Like we would watch a movie and she would make ticket stubs and popcorn and we would play movie theater. And so then that became a special moment. You know, just trying to take your day-to-day life and make them into memories, like in your head. Think, if I wasn't here, I want my kid to remember this. How can I make this unique?
And it's so funny because I had kind of the same memories with my mom growing up. We would always, she liked to watch old movies, so then we had a spare bedroom and we would just watch the movie on the carpet with some blankets and popcorn, and that's what we would watch. And you know, I do that with my kids too because I think we do Friday movie night and we do that together, and I feel this is a kind of memory.
Exactly,
that
and
we
then they
create.
bring to their, I got goosebumps. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I agree with you. Okay, so the next one that we have on that list is can we bring that graphic back up? I'm getting caught up on my making memories. Okay, cultivating confidence and empowering adolescents.
Okay, so those are two different chapters in the book, but the idea ultimately is how to create a confident child, right? Oh. And it really starts from our ability to be confident. And what does confidence mean? And that all comes back to that self-love piece, which is that we are lovable regardless of how pained we are, of how much we suffer, of how imperfect we are, whatever it is that's going on, we're still worthy of love, and so are our children. And they become confident in knowing that they are lovable regardless, and how to love and accept them fully for all the things that they're amazing at and all the things that they struggle with, and it's all worthy of love, and that you are loving them regardless of what's awesome and what's not so awesome. It's one of my mom's favorite quotes was, "I don't like what you did, but I still love you." Right? And to differentiate that just because I don't like what you did, you're still worthy of my love.
Which I think is important, especially small children who are always looking to find your approval. And I know with my little ones, if I say, I'm not really happy with you right now, but we do say that, but I still love you, it doesn't change anything. Because I think that is important in creating confidence kids, which is not always easy to do.
For sure.
And the adolescents, how about that tip?
So adolescence is such a challenging time for children. And if you think about it, you're going from becoming a child to becoming an adult, and it's kind of this in-between phase. And so it's this transition where children are starting to become more self-reflective, are more aware of themselves. And I think that as a society, we try to keep them from pain. We don't want them to suffer, but as a result, we also shelter them a lot. I think one of the things that my mother, I know one of the things that was super fundamental in my life was that I was very much encouraged to talk about whatever it was that I was going through. So we would, at night before bed, we would talk about boys and sex and drugs and drinking. And you know, once they found out, I started drinking alcohol when I was 14 years old. I remember the talk about it, and the talk wasn't, you can't drink. The talk was, if you are drinking, please do not drive. We will always pick you up. Your safety is most important. And I stopped drinking at age 16 and became the designated driver for all my friends because it wasn't a thing. I cared about my own well-being. That was the most important. And also at 14, I had an older boyfriend who most mothers would think was ludicrous, and he was much older, and why would he be interested? But she really understood that we had a very deep soul connection, and she encouraged me to be with him and be around him, experience. She was the one who suggested we go backpacking through Europe together when I was 16 and he was graduating college. But as a result, we never even had sex. The idea was she's teaching me to care about my own well-being, to know what it is that I want.
Not giving you restrictions,
but empowering me to know sex is a beautiful, powerful, the most connected you can be with another human being. That's something not to be taken lightly, not that you shouldn't do it, but that if you are going to do it, make sure that it's with somebody who you really love and somebody who really loves you.
It's having that open communication, especially in adolescence. And I want to get to the last two because we're running out of time, but be on the same team and manage your time and manage your life.
Okay. So being on the same team, it's really fundamental that as a family, as parents, that we don't get into power struggles. It's not about being right or wrong, okay? If you had an elephant and there were blind men around the elephant, and one was touching the little tail and one was touching the big trunk and one's touching the leg, and they're fighting. No, it's this little flimsy thing. No, it's this big honker thing. They're all fighting, but they're all parts of the same reality. And our job as parents, as spouses, as humans, is to go around and see what other people's experiences are and to understand that they are all right. There's not right and wrong. They're
different
all
for everyone.
different. And that they're all parts of the same whole. So how do we learn how to see everybody's perspective and know that we're on the same team?
30 seconds, how do you manage your time then? That's the last one. Let's go. 30 seconds.
Buckets of time. You have to decide what it is that you want to do and put it in buckets of time in your calendar. And then if you don't get to it, you put it in a different bucket and a different day.
Okay. You know what that means? You have to come back.
Okay.
And we got to finish this up. Okay. Be sure to join us next time on the Health Channel, All Health, all the time on South Florida PBS, and follow us on social media at All Health TV, #AllHealthTV. And you can also visit our website, allhealthtv.com, where you can watch videos from previous episodes. Also, download the new Health Channel app for your mobile device or smartphone. It's free, available at the App Store or Google Play. I'm Kathy Buccio. We'll see you next time.